Good morning, our dear viewers. Welcome to the Women's Voice, a platform for women rights initiative. And in studio, I'll be moderating the show. My name is Namlondo Jacqueline, and I'm the moderator of this show. In studio today, I have my fellow staff member, Miss Florence, who will briefly introduce herself. Florence, you can introduce yourself to our dear viewers.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amita Florence. I work with the Women's Rights Initiative. I'm a farm manager at the Nyonga Women's Shelter, and I'm humbled to work with this amazing team.
Welcome to the show, Florence.
Thank you.
So today, our main focus, today our focus is going to be on farming, I would say. And given the viewers that we have on this platform, I believe most of them are in an urban setting. So we are going to discuss on how they can utilize the small spaces they have in their homes to be able to survive or even learn some skill. So basically, we are going to talk about the backyard gardening, which has now become a thing. Like almost every homestead is trying. Not every. When I say every, I don't mean in every home, but most of them are starting to find a way of surviving through growing these organic plant or organic vegetables. So you being a farmer, I'm sure you can give us more knowledge on the backyard gardening. So my first question would be, would you describe a backyard garden, a vegetable garden, for our viewers to know what that looks like?
Now, for our theme today, we are having two main keywords. We have urban farming and backyard gardening. And I know someone out there is wondering, urban farming, backyard gardening? So the word urban necessarily means like a much more developed surrounding. Then urban farming, this is where someone uses the available space. This can be a balcony, can be a veranda. They can use containers to set up a garden. Now, backyard farming is where we use our backyards to grow daily vegetables where we can pick from to use daily. That's what it means. Have something small in your backyard, whatever space you have, so that you have something you can pick in daily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Flores. When we talk about the vegetables, what benefits are there with these? When we encourage people to grow some vegetables, what benefits can we get from them?
The benefits are so many, but we can start with the main one, the general one, which is it's important in our health. When you grow these things, remember the theme is grow your own, save your health. Even if you go to the hospitals, the doctors always advise us to eat at least something with color on our meals every day. With color, I mean it can be a fruit or a vegetables. New fruits have various colors: yellow, green, orange, red. So secondly, if you're growing this, you can save your money because some of our households, we don't have the budget to buy this every day. So by growing this, you're saving your money, and as well, you can earn. And as well, you can earn if you have bumper harvest or if you harvest a lot, you can sell it to your neighbors. And another thing, growing, it's also for beauty. Someone will ask you, yeah, how does this come up? But for example, spinach, when it has grown, there's a way it looks so beautiful, like a flower. That alone is beauty. Then just imagine having a garden. You have your spinach there. You have your green lettuce. You know, lettuce has this green color, light green, which is so beautiful. You have your ripening tomatoes somewhere. You just see beauty, color. Then another thing is exercise. The steps you take, there are very many activities in the backyard gardening. You have to spray, you have to transplant, there is pruning, most especially in tomatoes. So the steps you take, you're burning calories. At least everyone should try this. It's amazing. Another thing, it's a skill. For example, in Uganda here, it's a holiday season. Very many kids are at home. So waking up and they follow the same routine, going to TV, maybe mopping the house, that is so normal for them. But if you have this, you can set up a schedule whereby you can say, Florence, in the morning, you're the one going to harvest what you're going to eat. Maybe Sandra, you're going to prune the tomatoes. Rebecca is going to spray the plants. That is a skill. At least they'll grow up when they are appreciating. And backyard gardening can also
Mm,
help you can bless others. For example, in our tradition here in Africa, if you're going to see a friend, you don't move empty-handed. But if you have
mm,
something, you can carry and you bless a friend. Seriously, you carry, you take to your
mm,
friend.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, mm.
Mhm.
And there is that good feeling that comes when you eat someone's, hard work, like something that someone has, like when
Exactly.
it's like someone giving you uh, eggs, like from their farm, and it's very exciting to at least to
Actually,
try it out and see
most
how
people
it
call
goes.
it eating from your sweat. Eh? There's that feeling you have. I'm
Mm,
eating what I grew. I
yeah,
saw this grow up. There's that beautiful feeling.
yeah, yeah. And to some point, I think it's kind of it's some
Therapy?
sort of therapy. Yeah,
Exactly,
like given
actually.
the fact that you're working on the Nyonga shelter, this is, I
Because
see it as a way of diverting women from their issues that brought them there, and they are able to channel it to maybe gardening.
actually, let me add on that. When you talk of therapy, the life we live in right now, there's a lot of stress. Sometimes the stress we can talk about, and sometimes some things we can stay within. We keep them within ourselves.
Mm,
But some of us talk to
mm,
plants. You go to the garden,
yeah,
you're speaking to
mm,
that plant. For example, it won't judge you, it won't tell a neighbor, but
yeah,
it will listen to you. You may not feel it. And at the end of the day, you feel relieved without paying money, without anything. You're not even worried that your problems are going to go out. So it's so
yeah.
beautiful.
Mm. So, Florence, my other question is how the backyard garden, how does it look? How do you build this in the small space that I have? How would I build it? Let's say I'm renting somewhere and I have
Now,
my large
first of all, what
veranda.
you
So
have
how
to
do I set it?
now we have different preferences, and space is also a very good factor. It depends on the space you have. Some people have small spaces and some people have
Mm,
bigger spaces. Now if you want to build one, that's what you have to first consider. But there are also various examples. For example, some may consider that for me, I want a ground garden. This ground garden is where you're digging directly from the soil. You've not added in anything. So another person
mm,
may say, no, I would prefer a container. Now, these
mm-hmm,
containers can be old plastics, whereby someone adds in
mm,
the soil, adds in
mm,
manure to come up with a plant. They can be old paint tins. You have to be creative. You can use the old paint tins, you can use the plastics, anything that has space to hold soil can act as your garden, whereby you can hang it on your balcony up.
mm,
Now, someone else may say, no, I need a
mm,
raised garden. Now, raised garden is something that is above the ground level. For example, you can use wood, you come up with
mm,
boxes, but these boxes act as our demarcations and boundary. Then you fill in. This
mm,
means
mm-hmm,
you're going to work without stepping on your space. Your space is raised, meaning you're going to work without spacing on your space. That's why we call it a raised bed. Then someone can say, no, I'm going to use a sack. And I know someone is wondering, a sack? Yeah, a sack can also act as our garden. But what you have to consider, this sack has to be perforated. By perforated, we mean they
mm,
should have pores. Eh? These pores
yeah,
allow entry and exit of water. So that's very
mm,
important. You shouldn't get a sack that is all filled up, whereby there's no airflow, there is nothing. You can get something with holes.
mm, mm.
So this sack gardening is also important that you can grow a variety. And another interesting about it, they call it a vertical garden,
Mm.
upright. It's so vertical garden, it stands upright. So you can say this space, this other side, I'm going to put my sukuma wiki. This other side, I'm going to plant my spinach. And there's a lot of beauty in that while using a very minimal space. Those are some of the examples of how you can build your backyard garden. Be creative and you use
Mm.
whatever is at your disposal. Even jerry cans, you
All
can
right.
cut it to half. You fill it with soil, you use it.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Thank you, Florence. So, what is that most important factor that you have to consider for a vegetable garden?
Now, the most important factor is the soil. You know, the soil is where most of the plants grow. It is the living thing. It's the base. It's the start of everything. And when I talk about soil, you have to plan it. For example, you don't just have to get soil from anywhere. You have to get soil which is fertile. This soil has to contain humus. Now, when you're mixing this
Mm.
soil, first of all, you have to make it clear, debris free. By debris, I mean the big soil, the big stones, and the small ones. We normally call them gravel. But there's also the big
Mm.
soil clods. We have to break them to come up with fine particles, smooth particles. Now, after that, you also
Mm.
consider your manure. With manure in backyard
Mm-hmm.
gardening, we can make it ourselves from the comfort of our homes. We can use the
Mm.
farmyard, that is, if we have some animals around, or we can make the
Mm.
compost. Now, with compost manure,
Mm.
this is necessarily what we use in our surrounding at home. For example, that
Yeah.
pills, but one caution should be taken.
Mm.
If you're going to deposit your rubbish, make sure you sort them out. Plastics, polythene should be put aside. Then you also decompose only that decomposes. That's what you should consider because it's the main thing, the soils.
Thank you, Florence. So when should we plant? Plant? When should one plant their vegetables?
Now with planting, it can be
Is it
done in,
seasonal? Mm.
not really. First of all, where we are right now in
Mm.
Uganda, we are blessed with good weather. But anyone can do it,
Mm.
whether in the rainy season or in the dry season, because this is this is done like it's not even a big space. We're just using what is available, so we can water
Mm.
anytime, anywhere. So there is no season for it. You just plan your thing.
Yeah.
If it is raining, well and good. If there are no rains,
Mm.
you can do water.
Yeah.
You make your watering schedule morning, evening. You water your plants.
Mm.
So there is no season. Just enjoy what you do. Come up with the best.
Okay. So when one is planting or considering to start up a backyard garden, should I use seedlings or the plant seeds? What is easier? And what results will I get from each if I
Now
use either?
this is very interesting.
Mm.
This is very interesting because most of the beginners, the backyard garden beginners, they always like to experiment. Now, first of all, someone will say a seed. A seed is an embryo which has not yet, which is still covered in a hard protective cover, which is called a seed coat. While a seedling is already a germinated seed, it has already sprouted, it has already germinated, it has already grown, and you can see a plant. Now that again goes back to one's preference. You know,
Mm.
some of us have choice. Someone may say,
Mm.
no, I want such and such a variety. You know, these days there are very many varieties in the market. We have the local varieties and we have the hybrid varieties. So someone may say, no, I prefer growing the local variety because it's not going to disturb a lot. It's used to the environment, with the resistance, while the hybrid variety may disturb with the pests and diseases, although it is high yielding. Then another person will say, no, I want the green colored variety, for example, of cabbage, while another person will prefer the purple colored variety. So if you're going to use a seed, all those options are open in the market. All those seeds are available. But if you're choosing a seedling, you have to take the choice of the person who has already raised that. For example, you're going to a nursery bed and you find there are only the hybrid varieties of tomatoes. Then you have no choice because you want it, you have to take that. There is no choice. Now, another thing with using seeds, they are way cheaper because they come in affordable small packets. So you choose what you can afford. While seedlings, a person will price according to what it has taken him to grow a seed. Maybe he found the seeds were so expensive. Maybe it disturbed him or her in the course of its growing. So a person is free to tag any price in the seedling. Now, another thing with using seeds is that you have to take a lot of caution. Remember, you have to raise the nursery bed yourself. You have to clear the soil. You have to water every day. You know, there is a lot of work it takes. And remember, when these seeds, to come up with the best, when the seeds have already germinated and maybe they are like 2 weeks, you have to thin them. Thinning is the removal of the extra plants so that we leave space. This space is important for airflow, is very important for water because the remaining plants receive a lot of water. It's very important for nutrients. They take up enough other than when they are crowded so that there is competition. Now, with seeds and seedlings, there is patience involved. If you're choosing a seed, you have to be patient, not waking up every day and checking, has it germinated? Has it germinated? No. Most of these plants take time in the nursery. Most of the
Yeah.
green vegetables, for example, the spinach, the skuma, lettuce, they take 4 to 5 weeks in the nursery bed. So it involves a lot of patience. And most people don't have patience in their lives. They need something they see so that they appreciate their work. You know, they're excited, most of the beginners. But seedlings, it's already grown to that size, you need it. You just need to pick it and transplant it to the main garden.
Okay, thank you, Florence. So, what are those easiest vegetables that we can grow in our gardens?
All vegetables are easy to grow if you have the love. First of all, you have to believe in yourself. I can make it, I can do this. And you know, when you're starting this, we believe you have the love because you can't start something you don't like. So we have the spinach.
Yes, we
We have,
can see it here. Mm.
we have the spinach, and you can see that garden is so beautiful. There's a lot
Even
of
the way,
creativity.
yes, I can see the sacks like you had mentioned, and using
Even the
the tires.
even the tire, there's a lot of creativity.
Mm.
So we have the eggplants are also easy to grow, and you can harvest for a period like 6 months if you've taken
So
care
for
of them well.
okay, so for a plant like this one, how long does it take? Like, how much longer can I take while harvesting on the same plant?
You can take like 6 months if you've taken care of it well. You have to water. You know, eggplants need a lot of water, and if you see the sign when the leaves have started molting, or shriveling, or folding, that is water stress. So you have to give
Oh.
them a lot of water to continue giving you the yields.
Mm,
Now you can see those are tomatoes, a very
mm,
planned garden, a very well spaced one.
mm,
Those are also easy to grow, but we can also see another spinach garden. Actually, this one is a mixture. We can see skuma, we can see spinach, and we can see how there's creativity in the watering. The water
yeah.
drips whole day, very little
Mm,
amounts, but the whole day.
mm,
Now, another easy vegetable to grow, that's also cabbage. But
mm,
with cabbage or with all the other leafy vegetables, you have to take one caution. When the
Okay.
plant has already emerged, for example, 3 weeks after transplanting, you have
Mm.
to you have to only water the base, not the leaves. Reason?
Ah.
Because there is a disease called downy mildew. This disease
Mm.
survives in water. And when you water the leaves, there are some water particles that remain on the leaves.
Mm.
It makes it easy for this
Mm.
disease causing pathogen to survive on the leaves. That's why we
Mm.
need to water the base so that the leaves remain dry.
Mm. Okay. So thank you, Florence. And maybe there's some other plants that I'm thinking of were the spring onions, um, even growing fruits, because I've seen someone growing some avocado and later on transferring it to the actual garden. I think it can start like from the backyard, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
Spring onions, Spring onions are also good because you can harvest even for 2 years because keep on harvesting the
Mm.
leaves. Now someone may ask spring onions. Yeah, these are the onions where we only consume the leaves. And there are onions where you consume the bulbs. But for the spring, you consume only the leaves. And also,
So,
someone may
mm,
decide also include herbs in their garden. Herbs we can say someone can put basil, there's coriander,
mm,
we have rosemary, we have lemongrass. That's just to bring out the beauty.
and I've seen people grow aloe vera too.
Yeah, that's also good. For example, if you have a wound, an open wound, you can cut the aloe vera
Mm,
leaf and put. Aloe vera leaves are also good in, you give your people who keep birds at home. You can also
mm-hmm,
mix those cuttings in their drinking water. It also helps. Some people use it for hair. The ladies apply the aloe vera extracts in their hair, in their skin. There are variety.
mm. Okay, so
Variety.
what are these? What problems can I encounter if to start up a backyard garden?
Backyard garden, someone may sell. Some people always think of water, the drought, but no, we already have a solution for that. In case the sun comes out, yeah, we can
Mm,
water. Now, another problem, we have the snails and slugs. These mainly attack the cabbages. It's a very, very
mm,
big problem to cabbage growers. But since,
mm,
okay, someone may say, I can go to the, go and buy a pesticide for that. But with backyard gardening,
mm,
we plan to go organic. We resist on using too much pesticides in our plants. So with
mm-hmm,
snails and slugs, we can go organic we can use the garlic bulbs. You know, garlic has that strong smell, that strong smell that can repel. So we can avoid this we can make a garlic solution. A garlic solution, you can pick large bulbs of garlic,
mm-hmm,
you crush them. After crushing
mm,
them, you boil your water and you make a mixture, then you cover overnight. Then in the morning, you can sieve. Don't mix everything in your back sprayer. First
mm-hmm,
sieve so that you separate. Because if you put everything, the nozzle of the sprayer is going to get blocked. Then you spray your vegetables. There is no side effect in that because you also consume garlic. So even if there is nothing like overdose, you've mixed extra what,
mm,
so just repel. Now for tomato growers, there is a disease called blossom end rot. This blossom end
mm-hmm.
rot has no cure.
So
The
if it affects the tomatoes, that means the entire you've lost out on that harvest.
No, it does not affect the whole tomato. It just affects the fruit. It
Okay.
affects the fruit. And this fruit
Mm,
starts rotting on the base of the fruit. It starts to rot. So
mm,
to control this, if
mm,
you've seen a tomato which has that symptom, you just have to remove and dispose it. Then you can also like water, give them enough water. Enough water, I mean, you have to water. Give enough, I mean like not much, not little. And if you want to test whether this water is much, if you touch the ground and the ground is going very deep, meaning you don't have to water, you have to keep on filling the soil. If the soil is kind of sticky, meaning there's enough water, but if the soil is dry, meaning you have to increase on the watering. Another disease we have the downy mildew. I talked about it, and this mostly affects the leafy vegetables, the spinach. We have the kale, we have the lettuce, that downy mildew. So that when we said you have to water the base of the plant, you have to water the base of the plant, not the leaves. So, but there are other
Okay.
solutions also. For example,
Mm.
no, there's again another common pest in these leafy vegetables, the caterpillars. This
Yeah, yeah,
larva
yeah.
stage of a butterfly, but caterpillars, who those ones can destroy. Have you ever come across a leaf that looks like a skeleton? They
Yeah.
consume, they
Yes.
defoliate, they eat all the leaves in these plants.
Mm.
Now that mainly you can also you can use ash, wood ash. You put some wood ash on your vegetables. But when I say wood ash, you don't come directly from your kitchen and you take it to the plant. No, that's dangerous. It
Mm.
can scorch, it can burn the plant. What you should do, whenever you're cleaning your kitchen, put that ash separate somewhere so that it cools.
Mm.
Then after it
Mm.
cooling, then you take it to your plants. You can already separate. The ash
Okay.
for Monday, you keep it somewhere. Meaning that ash which was for like last week on Wednesday, it's the one which is supposed to be used. Now for
Mm.
caterpillars also, you can use the garlic extract, that solution we've explained. You can use also that
Mm.
because that also has no effect. It's just organic. It has nothing. It's not going to affect your health. Don't get worried. Now
Mm.
other solutions also, we can do crop rotation. Crop rotating is you plant a different vegetable in a different space. For example, if
Mm.
my first corner had skuma, meaning the next time
Mm.
I'll put their eggplants. You see, these are different. For skuma, we are eating the leaves,
Mm.
but for the eggplant, we are going to eat the
Mm.
fruit. So there's different morphology there. We keep on changing. If last time I had my
Mm.
lettuce in one other corner, next time,
Mm.
it could be a good idea to plant their green pepper or California wonder. Most people know it as
Mm.
California wonder. Here locally, we know it as green pepper. We keep on
Mm.
changing, we keep on changing. That is rotating. Then you can also
Okay.
decide to mix up. You get your big garden, you mix up, you can mix the red colored cabbages with spinach. You can put the onions in between. You can put a
Mm.
tomato so that these pests get confused.
Mm.
Hope you get me. Like they get
Yeah.
confused. For
Mm-hmm.
example, if it comes from an eggplant, it will get to an onion. And remember, an onion or garlic also has that smell. But you can also mix the vegetable and the herb. You plant your
Mm.
spinach on one row, then you plant rosemary on another row. You know the rosemary also has that strong repelling smell on
Mm.
another row.
Yeah. So we've kind of lost Florence there, but we wanted to know more on if we need anything to put on the soil. But I'm sure she had explained. She talked about the garlic in some way, and the little knowledge I have, we can add some manure. Do the mulching, we can add cow dung and all that stuff. So this marks at the end of the show, and thank you for tuning in to watch. You can follow up on our YouTube channel, Women Rights Initiative. Oh, Florence, we kind of lost you there. Okay, so
Sorry,
the
something
last,
went wrong.
yeah,
Or you're back.
there's this last question that I want to know, that I want to ask about. Do I need to do anything to the soil before I start my backyard garden? Florence? Florence, we're asking if there is anything we need to do
Yes,
before start the
since soil
backyard
is a very
garden.
important factor, like we said earlier on, we shouldn't plant anywhere. You should take extra caution. And in some developed places, they take this soil for testing. Yes, in most developed places, we take this soil for testing. We take them to the lab to test for the pH. By pH, I mean the degree of the most
Hello,
important
Florence.
factor, like we said earlier on, was soil. And with this soil, in some developed places, we always take it to the laboratory for testing for the pH. By pH, I mean the degree of alkalinity or acidity. But for the but someone will say, no, I may not be able to go to the lab. But when you're mixing your soil, you have to consider some factors. You have to mix soil that has humus, and you have to clear this soil of anything. Remember, most soils are mixed with very many things. They're mixed with plastics, we have pieces of broken bottles, we have wood cuttings in everything. So you have to sort all this out so that you come up with something clean. Then after, you have to consider what type of fertilizer you're going to use. And like we said, mostly we are going organic. We are going to use the farmyard and the compost. Like we talked on earlier, the compost, still, before decomposing, you have to separate the plastics and the polythene from the organic matter.
Florence, we've kind of lost you again, but she was trying to explain the things that we can add to our soil before we start the backyard garden. And I, th- I think this will mark the end of our show. You can follow us to catch up on you, follow up the conversation on our YouTube channel, Women Rights Initiative, and maybe like or comment or ask questions in case you need more answers relating to the questions being asked. Thank you very much. Thank you, our viewers, for tuning in. Have a blessed day and week.